Construct the cosine graph using only a ruler, a compass and a protractor. So we do this in the same way that we would construct the sine graph, except we let north, so the point 0, 1, be 0 degrees and we move anti-clockwise. So usually we start with 0 degrees at the eastern point, which is the point 1, 0, and we move anti-clockwise to 90, anti-clockwise to 180, anti-clockwise to 270, and anti-clockwise back to 360. But this time we let the northern point, which is the point 0, 1 of the unit circle, we let that be 0 degrees, and we move anti-clockwise to 90, anti-clockwise to 180, anti-clockwise to 270, and anti-clockwise back to 360. And again we draw our straight lines across, which are going to be parallel to the x-axis, and we join up our coordinates. So for example, if this is 0 degrees, we draw a line across, and when we get to 0 degrees on our x-axis, we plot a point. Then we move anti-clockwise to 45 degrees, we draw a line across, and we get to 45 degrees on our x-axis, we plot a point. We continue anti-clockwise to 90 degrees, we draw a line across, and when we get to 90 degrees on our x-axis, we plot a point. We continue anti-clockwise to 180 degrees, we draw a line across until we get to 180 degrees and plot a point, and so on. Then we join our points together with a curve. So we're going to construct the cosine graph using only a ruler, compass and a protractor. So we start by drawing out our x-axis. We're going to go from 0 degrees up to 360 degrees, and we draw our y-axis, and we're going to go up as far as 1 and -1. Then we draw our unit circle right beside our graph, making sure that the center of our circle lines up with the x-axis, and that the northern point of our circle matches up with 1 on our y-axis, and the southern point of our circle matches up with -1 on our y-axis. Next we're going to label the points of our unit circle. So we know that the point in the east is the point 1, 0, but we don't actually need our coordinates as such. What we want to label our unit circle as is degrees. So this time we're going to start in the northern point, which would be the point 0, 1, and we're going to label it as 0 degrees. Then we're going to move anti-clockwise to 45 degrees, so we're going to need to use our protractor to do this. Then we continue anti-clockwise to 90 degrees. Then we continue anti-clockwise to 135 degrees. Then we continue anti-clockwise to 180 degrees. Then we continue anti-clockwise to 225 degrees. Then we continue anti-clockwise to 270 degrees. Then we continue anti-clockwise to 315 degrees, and we continue anti-clockwise to what would be 360 degrees back at 0. So since I've gone in 45 degrees around my unit circle, I want to go in 45 degrees along my x-axis. So halfway between 0 and 90 degrees is going to be 45 degrees. Halfway between 90 and 180 degrees is 135 degrees. Halfway between 180 degrees and 270 degrees is 225 degrees, and halfway between 270 degrees and 360 degrees is 315 degrees. So we're going to start at 0 degrees on our unit circle, and we're going to draw a line straight across that's parallel to the x-axis. So we match up the line that we just drew in there in green with 0 on the x-axis and plot a point. Then we move anti-clockwise to 45 degrees on our unit circle and draw a line from that point straight across. And we go along that 45 degree line until we match up with 45 degrees on the x-axis and we plot a point. Then we continue anti-clockwise to 90 degrees, and since the line is already drawn in because it matches up with the x-axis, we just move across so we get to 90 degrees and plot a point. And then we continue anti-clockwise to 135 degrees and draw a line straight across. And we draw a line from 135 across until we match up with 135 degrees on the x-axis and we plot a point. And we move anti-clockwise until we get to 180 degrees and draw a line straight across. And we draw our line across until we match up at 180 degrees and plot a point. And then we move anti-clockwise up to 225 degrees and there's a line already drawn in, so we just move across until we match up at 225 degrees and we plot a point. And then we continue anti-clockwise until we get to 270 degrees, and that already lines up with the x-axis, so we just go across the x-axis until we match up at 270 degrees and plot a point. And then we continue along anti-clockwise until we get to 315 degrees, and again a line is already drawn in, so we just move across until we match up at 315 degrees and we plot a point. And we continue anti-clockwise until we get up to 0 degrees, which is also 360 degrees, and we draw a line across, which is already drawn in, until we match up at 360 degrees and we plot a point. So now that we have all the points for y equals cos of x, we are going to join them together with a curve. And now we have the graph y equals cos of x.